genre.
Hello and welcome back to the Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who: The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Nick Jimenez.
I'm Scott Corelli.
And I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
Today on the show, we'll be discussing The Sensorites, the first Doctor's 8th story, and I almost called it Senioritis.
Senioritis.
Which is, now I want to write a spec about the Doctor and the Master having like senioritis.
Oh no.
At Time Lord Academy.
Bless.
I like the idea that at Time Lord Academy they still like dump all their papers on the ground out of their lockers at the end of the year.
A Time Lord just like rolls down the hallway on a skateboard and a fire hydrant.
They have like a senior prank.
We sent the dean back in time.
And he shows up and he's been around for he's regenerated like 4 times and has finally made it back. You kids. Respect. So the Sensorites. This is an episode. So I guess there's a couple of like vaguely interesting things about the Sensorites. It's not the most interesting behind the scenes story. But it does feature like in the movie, in the Adventures in Space and Time adaptation of the Sensorites, the making of the Sensorites, there is like a fun comedy montage, I feel like, that's involved in this. But the Sensorites, written by Peter R. Newman. This is his first script that he wrote for the show. And he was most notable for writing for Hammer Films.
Oh.
Prior to this, yeah.
That's cool.
So he was a Hammer horror screenwriter. Also, the directing credits are cut between 2 people, which is also weird. I actually couldn't find a reason why Mervyn Pinfield quit after the first 4 episodes, but it might have something to do with that comedic montage that I'm going to get into. But Frank Cox directed episodes 5 and 6 after Pinfield left. I guess 3 bits of things of note. 1, Sidney Newman and BBC were basically at war with budgets and all of these things. So the BBC really liked how popular the show was, but they didn't like the idea of it costing any money. And so they didn't care how many people were watching it. They wanted to keep it cheap because the cheaper it was, the more money they would make from the people watching it. So they were like not into giving them a higher budget. And as a result of this, they did not have a dedicated studio space. And this was getting exhausting for people at the time because, in most shows, especially with Doctor Who, you have a dedicated studio space. You have one part of the studio that's dedicated to the TARDIS set. And then you have another that is up all the time, right? As long as you're in that studio set, they have that set built because you're probably going to use it in most episodes. Mm-hmm. And then you have a studio set that is interchangeable, where you're changing it out between episodes, featuring whatever you need, whether it's like a forest, an alien forest, or some kind of like base that may or may not be under siege. And you keep those stuff up. You build them once or, as needed, but you do keep them up, especially if you're going to reuse them. And the thing about the Sensorites, as we'll get into, this is a very cheap looking episode. There are like 4 sets in the whole thing. It's very boring to look at from that perspective. Visually, it's very boring to look at. And you would think like, oh, wow, this was probably the easiest thing to put together. But in reality, the reason why the sets are so cheap and basic looking is because every single episode of the Sensorites was shot on a different stage. Because the way that they shot the show was once a week, one day, once a week. They would come in, build the Sensorite sets on a stage, shoot an episode, tear it all down. Then the next week, they would go to another set, another stage, a different one, and build it again. And sometimes like measurements of everything had to change. And so like between episodes, rooms would get smaller or larger depending on the size of the stage. And it was just like every single episode was shot in a different stage. And this was the episode where Sydney Newman was finally like, okay, we can't do this anymore. You got to give us a dedicated stage. I don't care where it is. And then they tried to offer them one stage in particular, the cursed stage, the stage from An Adventure in Space and Time with the leaks and the terrible stuff. And he was like, okay, but not that one. Any stage but that one. And finally, they were given Riverside Studio 1 in Hammersmith, London, which would be their new home base of operations going forward. So this was the last episode that was shot on like totally different stages every episode. In fact, I think this was the only episode that was shot, the only story that was shot in that particular fashion, but changing studio spaces multiple times during a recording was pretty, that's kind of just how it was for them, because they weren't really respected because they were a dumb little sci-fi show that a lot of people liked, but the people who liked it were children, and children are dumb and they're not worth that much money. And so it wasn't until the chaos of trying to get this episode finished where they finally found a steady home in Riverside.
That's so interesting that because like early on in this episode in part 1, there's like this really weird, interesting moment where they like do a quick recap of all of their adventures so far.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's the other thing. So
okay.
That's actually related to something else. So the other part of this equation is that this was originally the season 1 finale, which you can very much tell it was because of the recap that Nick is talking about.
Yes, and the Aztecs.
Yeah, right. Where they just go through like every episode every adventure, and they talk about their memories of each adventure. It's like a little mini clip show.
My first instinct was like, oh no, is this the episode where Barbara and Ian leave?
Oh, no, we're not there yet. And yeah, well, so this was supposed to be the finale of season 1. But then, they were shooting part of season 2 kind of ahead of schedule because they wanted to break, I think, for the holidays, but breaking for the holidays because of the way the schedule laid out would have caused a delay in, episodes coming out. So, or maybe it was basically they ran through to like, the first few episodes of season 2 or first few stories of season 2 before taking their break. I think because they wanted to break for the holidays rather than have the break earlier and not get to break for the holidays, I believe is how it worked out. And so they were this was going to be the finale of season 1. They were going to take 8 weeks off the broadcast schedule and then come back with Reign of Terror as the first episode of season 2. And basically BBC was like, we don't have anything else to put on, so we're just going to keep running the show like it never stopped. So all of that awkward season ending stuff that's in this is because they thought they were shooting the season finale, when in fact it ended up just being another episode. And Reign of Terror more or less operated as their season finale, though the break between episodes in the hiatus was shrunk down from 8 weeks to 4 weeks. So there was 4 weeks between Reign of Terror and the Giants one. Land of the Giants? Planet of Giants? What was it called?
Planet of the Giants came after this one.
No, Planet of the Giants comes between. The Reign of Terror comes in between.
Right.
Reign of Terror doesn't exist. That's why it's not on BritBox.
Right.
Yep. So Planet of the Giants ended up being the de facto season 2 premiere as a result.
Doing a really good job containing myself over finding out that there's an episode called Planet of the Giants.
Yeah. Oh, wait till you see it. It's a really fun one. It might be the most fun episode of First Doctor that we've seen so far, I would say. Like, just fun. It's also short.
Yeah,
which is
short.
very nice.
Yeah, that's
Sure.
nice.
It's only 3 episodes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then of course, and then Dalek Invasion of Earth takes the cake. After
cool, of
immediately following that, but you
Can't
know,
wait.
yeah,
I kinda-
yeah. Oh, you
I kind of
You have
like
no
the one
idea.
with
You can't wait.
the bugs though. Like it's very silly,
bugs?
but what's it called? We haven't watched it yet.
I'm trying.
Oh, I'm talking about that we've seen so far.
Oh,
not
that's fair.
not in total.
That's fair.
Yeah, season 1 is kind of. It's not as fun.
I'm trying to think
as
of which one has been
future
the
seasons.
most fun. So now I'm kind of doing what they were doing and like remembering all of our adventures together. Aztecs was fun.
Yeah.
Marco Polo was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Marinus was kind of dry.
I like that one.
I can't believe you're remembering all of these. I'm really impressed,
Well,
Nick.
because they mentioned it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
It's like, oh yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
you got the recap. All you needed was just a little reminder, and then it all came flooding back. That's good.
like the Doctor.
Yeah, and then the only other bit of behind the scenes details actually has nothing to do with this story. It has to do with the creation of the Ood. The Ood being, I guess, in continuity. The Ood are the Romulans to the Sensorites.
like Vulcans.
Vulcans.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, really?
Yes.
I remember thinking that watching it.
Yeah,
I
so
looked
they
at
have
you.
the sensor sphere, and then the Ood have the Ood sphere, and they're in the same solar system. They're like right next to
Wow.
each other.
So if I watch Planet of the Ood, do they mention the Sensorites?
I don't think so, but that's just what Russell T Davies says his intention was always that. And I think they've canonized it in other material.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, they're like Romulans and Vulcans.
I like the Sensorites.
Sensorites and the Ood.
Dead gullible.
Dead gullible. Yeah, that's true.
Even Susan's like, guys,
Oh, the
Sensorites can't
Sensorites.
lie.
Oh, the Sensorites.
The Sensorites, Part 1, written by Peter R. Newman, directed by Mervyn Pinfield, produced by Verity Lambert, script edited by David Whitaker, air date June 20th, 1964. The gang find themselves on board a spaceship with a crew of dead people. The bodies are warm even though their self-winding watches say that they've been dead for at least 24 hours. Just as they're about to leave, the ship's crew, Maitland and Carol, suddenly wake up. The crew is from 28th century Earth and are orbiting a planet called Senssphere. Its inhabitants, the Sensorites, refuse to let the crew leave orbit. The Sensorites are able to control the brains of the human crew and put them all to sleep, but they're never harmed and even kept fed by these mysterious aliens. While looking for water, Susan and Barbara stumble upon John, a crew member being kept locked in a closet. He shuffles towards them in a zombie-like state before collapsing into Barbara's arms. When the crew realizes that Susan and Barbara are locked in with John, they use a 28th century style cutting device to get them out. Carol tells Ian that before transitioning into a zombie-like state, John was her husband. A Sensorite ship suddenly approaches from outside. Ian glances out the window of their own ship and sees something staring back at him.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember watching this the first time.
Oh, so this is, yeah.
I have no memory of watching this at all.
Wow.
Which is weird. Because I'm pretty sure I've seen all of them. Because I was like, oh, is this one of the ones that was missing? And they like found it. But no, I don't remember watching this one, and I could not tell you what happens in it because it's so boring.
It's pretty boring.
It's dry.
Yeah.
I'll say that it's dry, and to me, unfortunately, it was a serial of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Because I actually think it started out very interesting.
Well, let's start there. Let's talk about part 1 specifically.
Well, I actually really liked the little recap. I thought it was just, I don't know, it seemed very like
It was charming.
It is charming.
It is charming, and like at the best of times, this era of the show really reminds me of like a C.S. Lewis book.
Mm-hmm.
or just like a children's book. I don't know.
Yeah.
and so
Yeah, I like that. I like that that Barbara is the one who's like, maybe we landed in something, and the doctor's like, what? Which is
It's like that's never
A
happened
woman?
before.
a woman telling me how my ship landed. A woman smarter than me.
I thought it was funny how
Ugh.
close Ian was standing next to everybody. Though that's probably
Yeah.
because of like the blocking in the set. But like, I was just like,
Right.
Ian is such a creeper.
yeah, we had a fun mystery at the very beginning with the two seemingly dead bodies.
Mhm.
One thing that I had a lot of fun, maybe because I've just been watching so much of the show lately, is the doctor immediately has no curiosity.
Yeah,
Over like, well, let's get out of here. It doesn't concern us.
yeah.
Just two corpses in a ship.
That's kind of one of my favorite things about David Bradley's first Doctor in Twice Upon a Time, when he kind of has that vibe too of just like, yeah, this is none of our business, and Capaldi's like,
Off we go.
come on, God,
Yeah, they like beg him to stay.
yeah,
And it's not until the body like wheezes to life.
Mhm.
And what was that guy's name? It was Carol and John.
no, John was the crazy guy.
John's a crazy guy.
No, this guy was I forget his name. It was because he wasn't in the show very long.
I just looked up the thing, so I have it in front of me. Captain Maitland.
Yeah, Maitland.
Yeah, Maitland was cool. Did anyone notice the doctor kept calling Ian Chesterton?
Yeah, well, I mean, Chesterton is his last name,
Yeah.
but he kept saying Chesterton or Chesserin.
But I feel like even the
He was
last name
saying
part
it
was
weird.
I feel like he normally calls him Ian.
or Cheddarin.
Maybe it's been too long since I've seen the show.
No, he calls him Chesterton.
Yeah.
That's his vibe. It's just that I think I don't know. There were a lot of bloopers.
There were a lot of
in
line
this serial.
titles in this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved it every time because I just was reminded of the circumstances in which this was made.
right?
I caught one for Susan and one from the doctor.
I caught like multiple from the doctor, and I think I caught that same one from Susan, and I think I caught one of the Sensorites flub something too.
So yeah, we find out that this man and this woman were. So okay, so there's this scenario where they're not allowed to leave this patch of space, and these beings called the Sensorites keep like shutting them down and just sending them back.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what was happening?
I believe so. They're like trapping them in this area
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want them to leave because they don't want people to know about
And they're like, it's
that them the gold in them hills or whatever.
yeah. So they're like, we don't know what they want. It's weird that they're not killing us, being Earthlings, us.
Mhm.
And then the doctor finds out that like there's this like really precious like unobtainium like substance.
Yeah.
That's-
This entire episode takes place on the bridge of this ship that they're in.
Yeah.
And it is a tiny set, and the whole thing is shot so awkwardly, which is weird. Which was especially off-putting considering how great the opening shot of the set was, which is them opening the doors to the TARDIS and walking off the TARDIS onto the bridge of the ship all in one shot, which I was very impressed by for, 1964. I really thought that was cool.
Mhm.
That was a cool shot.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the episode was like, well, we're on this bridge and we're not going anywhere else. So get used to it.
I liked the set.
I just thought it was a little too small, but
yeah, for
that
sure.
might have been circumstantial.
I like the water shelf. The shelf
Yeah.
with the word water written on it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we find out they're from the 28th century, which is always fun. At some point, I'm sure somebody has already done this, right? Like made like a timeline of Earth history in Doctor
Oh
Who.
my God.
They mentioned that London is now called like Central City,
Right.
and that it hasn't been called London in like 400 years. They don't know what Big Ben is.
But Earth still exists.
Earth still exists.
So this is before the Beast Below.
Is this the first time that any mention of the future, like people? Is this the first time that we meet people from the future on the show?
Oh,
I think so.
I think it might be. Yeah. Like actual future Earthlings. Yeah.
I like how blasé they are about the fact that they're time travelers. They're just like, wait, where
was
are you
great.
from?
Yeah. Oh, they're from the past.
I like the idea of them being chill about it, though.
Yeah.
Of just being like, oh yeah, that's totally normal now. We've met some dude called the Doctor billions of times.
Oh, the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many pages would they save in the modern show?
They just start referencing the RTD era. Like, oh yeah, historically when the Daleks took over London.
And everyone saw, yeah.
Yeah, and
When the
everyone
Jadoon-
saw and remembered.
The Jadoon stole that hospital.
Yeah, right. We stopped celebrating Christmas around like 2017, 2018.
Right then, enough's enough. I think the writings on the wall love Christmas as much as the next bloke. That's Wolf speaking at Parliament. In my
I like the idea that that's the reason why there's no Christmas specials in the Jodie Whittaker era, because there's no Christmas.
Oh no.
Do we go into the hallways in this one, or do we just stay in the bridge?
I think we get like a hallway shot toward the end, but I don't remember what happens in the hallway.
So this one, the bit that I really like the cliffhanger. It's where it, but Ian looks out a window and sees a sensorite out the window. But there is for sure in the way that it's shot, gravity outside.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe there's gravity that like envelopes the ship or something.
Mm-hmm.
God, wouldn't that have been amazing? As if like the reveal was that it was a simulation, like that the TARDIS landed on a ship within a ship.
Oh, like a holodeck.
Weird.
Yeah, and they were like in a simulation, and so there's no gravity because that sensorite isn't even in space. He just like walks between the screen and the ship. That would have been cool. Yeah. So this shot, like, obviously, I would say absolutely an ode to Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, the Twilight Zone episode. Very famous. There's something on the wing. Something on the wing. That episode with Shatner, directed by Richard Donner, as I found out today, and was blown away by.
William Shatner sees a gremlin.
Yeah.
Hanging off the wing of a plane. Right.
It's a very, very famous, probably the most famous Twilight Zone episode, I would say.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh yeah, it's a pretty famous one. It's one of the ones that they remade in the movie. The remake starring John Lithgow, directed by George Miller of Mad Max fame,
and Babe Pig in the City,
of course, and Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2.
Mm-hmm.
But that episode aired October 1963, so actually aired before Doctor Who premiered. So we're like 9 or 10 months since that aired, maybe even a year at this point. So I think it makes sense that it would be like a reference to that, because it's shot exactly the same way. Even if it's not a direct reference, I think the director was probably like, "Hey, let's do that thing like on Twilight Zone." It's just such a specific shot of like the sensorite, who now I just keep wanting to call Ood in my head. Every time I go to say sensorite, I want to say Ood, but they're not the Ood.
The Sensorites, Part 2, written by Peter R. Newman, directed by Mervyn Pinfield, produced by Verity Lambert, script edited by David Whittaker. Air date, June 27th, 1964. The Sensorites outside the ship sensorize Carol and Maitland again, leaving them paralyzed. The Doctor revives Maitland, who then gets back to work unlocking Susan and Barbara from the other room. From that locked room, Barbara and Susan comfort John, whose constant psychic communication with the Sensorites have left him rattled and zombie-like. The Sensorites try to convince John to scare away Susan and Barbara, but he resists. John tells Susan that he senses 2 Sensorites have boarded the ship. Barbara and Susan confront the aliens in the ship's only hallway and manage to overpower them by bellowing at the same time, "We defy you." After nearly 2 episodes, Maitland gets the door open and everyone is able to reunite. While tucking John into bed, Ian overhears the rattled future man rambling in his dreams, leading Ian to think John may know something about Senssphere and how it could help the future of future humanity. The Doctor studies John's hands and finds traces of a precious metal called molybdendium, Just then, the Sensorites attack again, but Ian manages to threaten and bully them into a corner while brandishing a strange tool we never learn the true purpose of. The crew lock the Sensorites in the same closet they used to keep John locked up in and discuss their next move on the deck of the ship. Meanwhile, the Sensorites work on escaping. They telepathically communicate with Susan and asks her to tell the others that an area on Senssphere has been prepared for all of the humans to live. While the doctor teaches everyone how Kat's eyes dilate in the dark, the Sensorites psychically tell Susan that if she comes down to Senssphere with them, they'll let everyone else live. Susan agrees and lets the two Sensorites take her away.
This one is interesting. Yeah, we start to meet them. We meet, they have, I think their design is interesting because, like,
I love them.
the mask itself is a little muddy.
Mm-hmm.
You pointed out, Nick, that that they all look like they're sculpted by different people, like in a good way. Like they had like a basic idea of what Sensorites would look like, and then like there was like 6 people that all made Sensorite masks, and they all made them differently, slightly.
They all had just such minute differences, especially as we kept meeting them, that I kept thinking about how in the show now everything's so polished and great looking that like every Ood looks exactly like every other Ood.
Yeah.
But these were so ramshackle that I could tell which one was which by like just that one kind of has a nose, but this one full on doesn't have a nose.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that too. It made them feel more real despite looking, I mean, pretty goofy.
Yeah.
You know?
And I also love their wispy little chihuahua beards.
Yeah, their chihuahua beards were fun because they were like upside down hair pieces is what it seemed like. Because everything grows from like under their chin and then grows up.
Yeah. They were going into their mouths that weren't there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how they were speaking because you're right. They had no mouths. But they were definitely speaking.
I also kept thinking about how if you took away the masks, they were just like average sized, average built men wearing like pajama onesies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the little onesies with like the like duck feet or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, the feet were amazing.
Yeah. They're like circles. They're not even like, they weren't even like duck feet. They were like just circles. It was pretty great.
I wish the Ood had those still.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like Ood-like, but instead of tentacle mouths, they have like chihuahua beard mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like how when you watch the first Star Trek episode, Spock has those weird bushy eyebrows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not weird.
It's a little like that. I mean, yeah, it kind of reminds me of like the way that they remade the Klingons, you know, where it's like you have the Klingons in the OG series and they're just like dudes.
Yeah.
And then they were like, they extrapolated a couple of things and then made the Klingons the way they are in the movies and then Next Gen and etc. with the ridges and all that stuff. It kind of reminds me of that. Just like I could imagine like somebody sort of taking the Sensorites and then trying to remake them for the modern show and turning the Chihuahua hair beard into like tentacles. You could see that being like a choice that someone makes. So yeah, they are very close in design, I would say, especially like the skin bits, but they do speak instead of like through thought the way that the Ood do.
Oh, and they also have stethoscopes.
They do have stethoscopes. They have lots of stethoscopes that all do different things. They've got gun stethoscopes. They've got speaking stethoscopes. Yeah.
Stethoscope-based culture.
Yeah.
I like good. That we learned that Susan's apparently telepathic in this one.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
That's weird.
Is that the first time that a Time Lord uses their telepathy?
The Shinning?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe it's related to that. I don't know.
Susan would have the Shining. It makes sense.
Yeah. I'll retcon it to that if nothing else.
Well, Susan's not a Time Lord, right? She's a Gallifreyan.
Oh, I guess.
I am now under...
But the Doctor has it too, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's true. So... I'm now under the headcanon that she's a foundling with the information that we now have going into the Timeless Children.
Okay.
Oh.
Maybe we'll get that approved at some point. get that canonized.
Like the doctor found her and he was like, for some reason I relate to this strange creature.
This strange creature.
Hello, Granddad.
Yeah, so they're
Grandfather.
like talking to John, and John's losing his goddamn mind. John is the
John-
crazy guy.
Yeah, so they're like, apparently they keep doing this brain wipe thing over and over again. But the way that Carol, the female astronaut, made it sound is that for some reason they just are like extra mean to John.
Yeah. They can't stand this guy. He's like Jerry on Parks and Rec for the Sensorites.
They just keep like double wiping him on purpose.
Yeah. That's because they hate this guy. He sucks.
And like, so now, yeah, and like now Maitland and Carol have to like keep John like in a closet on a cot.
yeah. But he found Barbara and Susan, and Barbara gave him a cuddle last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's being told to like kill them or something. I can only assume. I don't think we ever find out what he was told to do.
No, I can't.
But he's like, no, I can't do it.
Not
It's like,
Mom.
I think they're telling him to kill you guys. You guys should probably leave.
Get out of here. And then the cliffhanger to this one is the Sensorites psychically communicating with Susan, and Susan deciding to like leave with them.
Right. Yeah. Couple of other things that happen in this one. There's a moment where the Sensorites go through a door, and then one of the Sensorites stops the other one and shakes his head, because for some reason in an alien culture, shaking your head also means no.
Right.
Which is just like it's like a little thing that like I don't think most people would pay any mind to, but like that's a human gesture. Like, why would that mean no to another culture? I don't know.
Especially because they're all like, they have like a weird hive mind thing going on. So they're all kind of telepathic. So
Yeah.
like, why don't they just talk?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't, it's very silly.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the one where Ian like holds that, like he finds this weird tool and
that like wrench
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
he's like threatening them the whole time.
They
Yeah.
like follow him through the door.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote that Ian has big Mark Darcy energy in this episode. Mark Darcy being the character Colin Firth played in Bridget Jones's Diary.
With his tucked in sweater.
Which Cass will never understand because she doesn't watch rom-coms, despite
true.
the fact that she would enjoy it.
I've watched like 5 rom-coms maybe.
How many of the 5 have you
Cass.
enjoyed?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Anyway, Bridget Jones's Diary is good. Bridget Jones's Baby is good. Edge of Reason, not so much.
That's the one where she murders somebody.
Yeah. Mhm. And the 2 male leads drown each other in a fountain.
Mhm.
That's none of that is, that's all an exaggeration. But
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, he's got like Colin Firth, like Mr. Darcy energy in this for sure.
I
Of just like, I'm classy, but I'm tough. I promise you, I am
also-
tough.
I felt really bad for the Sensorites. They were so threatened by Ian.
Yeah,
They were cowering.
I know. And Ian's got a turtleneck.
Like, what kind of jerk like threatens to bludgeon an ood?
I don't know. A lot of people in the episode were going to watch this in this round, right? Aren't they in the devil episode?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
That's
and
the
they
first
get
time
like
they show up.
abused like constantly
Yeah,
in that
yeah, yeah.
episode.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Whoa, that's weird.
Must
Yeah.
be
Weird.
must be the season of the ood.
Season of the Ood.
I proclaim this to be the season of the ood.
That's their first appearance too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So we get the Ood and the Sensorites' first appearances. They're both in the eighth story of those doctors.
That's why I was just saying it was weird.
Why
no,
does
I
this
know,
keep happening?
but like the fact that they're also like because of the nature of our show, like I'm also realizing that they are the same. They appear in the same story number,
Cluster.
which feels crazy. Like
Yeah, that's why I was like, that's weird.
It's like how
Yeah.
our 360th episode was Revolution of the Daleks.
yeah,
We're just unraveling the fabric of Doctor Who.
yeah.
We've done this long enough now.
That's going to be our new subtitle to this: unraveling the fabric of Doctor Who.
One doctor at a time.
So okay, let's see here. So we've got upside down beards, check. Oh, we should talk about opposite cat eyes.
Oh, yeah, the doctor teaches how cats had dilating eyes work.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I'm remembering correctly, shoot. Okay. So when you turn on a light,
Yeah,
okay, no, okay, yeah, okay. So when you turn off a light, a cat's eyes dilate
right.
in a way that humans don't, so they can see
Right.
in the dark.
Yeah, like hardcore dilate to the point where like they look like Baby Yoda.
Like sick,
they're-
nasty dilate.
Yeah, they're like their eyes are so dilated they look like Baby
Right.
Yoda. Yeah.
But the doctor doesn't theorize. He states with the sensorites, if you were to turn off a light,
Well, no, he notices it because the lights are on.
Yes.
and their eyes are super dilated like
right,
that.
it looks like they have no eyes.
right.
The masks. So he's like, I bet if we turn the lights off, they wouldn't be able to see, and they'd be scared because then they wouldn't know where the violence is coming from.
Right.
So their plan is to turn off the lights in front of the
And just beat the crap out of them.
and just beat him senseless with whatever random tool Ian found. And it works. They like instantly cower when the lights are turned off.
Yeah.
And
But then Susan agrees to leave with them. Well, no, that happens in the next one. That they do that they pull the darkness move.
Oh,
in
that's the
part
next
three.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they get Susan back, I think.
Okay. Can we talk about episode 3?
Let's do it.
The Sensorites, Part 3. Written by Peter R. Newman. Directed by Mervyn Pinfield. Produced by Verity Lambert. Script edited by David Whittaker. Air date, July 11th, 1964. The Doctor and the others chase after the Sensorites and Susan. The humans refuse to let the aliens take what some of them think is a human child, but the Sensorites need a hostage, and Susan wants to go, so she can save her friends and begin establishing a sense of personal confidence. This escalates into the Sensorites attacking and Ian shutting off the lights, blinding the aliens and allowing everyone else to slip away. On the deck of the ship, the Doctor and Susan have their first argument, while the Sensorites broker a deal with Ian. Barbara and Maitland will sit out for the rest of the story while everyone else goes down to Senssphere to meet the First Elder. On Senssphere, the First Elder thinks the Doctor can cure a disease that has been plaguing the Sensorites. His council are skeptical of the human race, saying that they are lesser beings and loud and ugly and should have been in the mountains. Most vocal against the human race is the First Administrator. Once the First Elder is gone, he tells another Sensorite that he has aimed a disintegrator at the room where the humans are to meet the First Elder. The Doctor, Ian, and Susan meet with the First Elder, who flexes on these strange guests by bringing out the fancy water, but not before Ian finishes his cup of normal water. While the First Elder and the Doctor discuss the rigid, sash-based hierarchy of Senssphere, Ian collapses to the ground, dying.
I really, really liked Susan, and Susan like kind of like having like, no, like let me do my own thing, and like bucking up with the Doctor and having an argument. I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but they do outsmart them with darkness by turning the lights out. Only slightly. Like not like just they put on some mood lighting basically. And that was enough for the Sensorites to be like, I can't see anything. Oh no. They're like gremlins.
In more ways than one.
Yeah. But yeah, they don't like darkness. I guess they're like opposite gremlins. They don't like darkness and they don't like
The
Noise.
Gremlins. Susan.
they don't like noise. Instead of getting wet, I guess. They don't like noise.
Well, Gremlins love music.
Yeah.
right?
God, wouldn't it be amazing if like when like every time the Doctor yelled at a Sensorite, another Sensorite like popped out their back, like
Ah!
like the Gremlins when you get them wet.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. The doctor keeps like throughout the serial, he raises his voice, listener, and it always like scares a Sensorite.
Yeah.
And like I spent most of the serial feeling bad for the Sensorites.
It's
Yeah.
pretty easy to feel bad for them. They're like pretty pathetic species overall.
They are across the board gullible.
Yeah,
They're like bald little old men in onesies.
yeah,
And it's really funny.
They're bald little old men in onesies who don't lie. They have a sash-based caste system.
yeah. Sashes and collars. So,
Did they go down into the planet in episode 3?
I think that's 4.
yeah, I
I don't
think it's
remember.
4. No. So they have the cross sash, which is like the eldest elder number 1, First Elder,
Mhm.
and then there's the single sash, which is the second elder, And then there's the collar, which is
Was that the administrator?
administrator. Yeah.
First administrator.
Yeah, he's got a collar. And then there's warriors who have like little bandages on their arm, like bands on their arm, kind of like the collar. And then the scientist guys that we find in the next episode, they've got like a design on their shirt. And then there's just basic,
Schmucks.
yeah, basic schmucks, which is what they call the people who don't have
Just
anything.
everything else, yeah.
Call them schmucks. I was getting Planet of the Apes vibes starting in this episode.
Yeah.
Just like the Sensorites like communicating with each other and like talking about like their world and their politics and the way things work on the sensor sphere.
Well, now that you mention it, Scott,
sensor sphere.
for the first administrator really gave me like Dr. Zaius vibes.
Yeah, right. Totally. Yeah,
Like did not trust the humans.
right. Yeah. I like that.
Or pretty much like didn't trust non-sensorites.
Right. Very racist.
Mhm.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So like, I think that was part of why I was getting those Planet of the Apes vibes. And then the basic death water, as Nick called it while we were watching the episode.
Oh yeah, listener, I just want to walk you through this. So, they sit down with the first. The first elder's like super friendly, super down to have guests.
Yeah.
I can't like all the sensorites are cool except for the first administrator.
Yeah. What was it that like got them on his side?
The first elder.
Yeah, the first elder, because like they were all sort of suspicious of them, and then like they did something that the first elder was like, these guys are cool.
He hasn't agreed to help fix their water yet, right? That happens later.
No, that's later.
Yeah, because this one ends with Ian like kind of
Yeah.
choking.
So they like, so they're all given water.
They're having a meal.
They're having a
sit
meal.
down. Yeah.
And the first elder's like, hey, that's the basic water. They're supposed to get the nice sparkling water. Only
Yeah.
the schmucks drink this water.
Yeah.
Go get the nice water. And Ian's like, you know what? I think I'm going to drink the bad water that the guy didn't want me to drink.
Because I'm really thirsty.
Because I'm really thirsty. And then he
Yeah.
drinks it and immediately starts coughing. And then he keels over. And the first administrator's like, he's dying. And then the episode ends.
Right. I was under the impression while I was watching this that the first administrator just like straight up poisoned them.
That's exactly what I thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then we go through a whole rigmarole in the next few episodes about
Yeah.
the water.
Would that it were so
Situation.
simple.
Yeah, it's aqueduct water, which they are very proud of as a species. They're aqueducts.
Like Los Angeles.
But despite being very proud of it, the first elder would never drink that basic aqueduct water bullshit.
The schmuck water.
Yeah, the schmuck water. He drinks crystal water is what it's called. Crystal water.
He drinks only the finest of spring waters.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Screw this municipal tap water.
Ugh. Garbage.
That-
trash.
That's something I really want to bring back if they ever go back to the Ood planet. Is they're all just like super hipstery with their like mineral water.
That would be pretty great. All right. Well, that's it for this particular episode. We'll be back next week to talk about episodes 4 through 6. Couple of things I want to bring up in the meantime. Duelinggenre.com/support is our Patreon page. Don't pause. Don't go forward. Just listen to what I have to say.
It's different now.
It's different now.
Oh, God, please.
Yeah, it's different now. So we have a goal on the Patreon for we're trying to get to 100 patrons, which would be at either the $3 or $5 level a month. And if we reach 100 patrons, we are going to do a bonus show of some kind. And it might be on TDC. It might be on one of the other shows. The patrons will vote on what that would be. But one of the bonus things that we want to do for TDC is to talk about Doctor Who spinoffs. And that would be either, you know, your the ones that immediately spring to mind, I'm sure, like Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures, but also
Canine Adventures.
Canine Adventures, I guess. It barely counts, Nick. Barely. Not even allowed to talk about Doctor Who. And then there's I don't even think it's canon with Doctor Who, the canine stuff. But yes, canine. We'll do it. Whatever.
Great.
But also Big Finish stuff.
Oh,
Big
yeah.
Finish does a lot of spin-offs, like the River Song Adventures, or
There's
the
a master one, right?
yeah, there's a master one, there's a war master, there's a war doctor. All of the stuff that we normally wouldn't cover on the show, we will cover if we reach that bonus threshold and
100 patrons.
and we hear from the patrons that that's what they want. But the thing about those spinoffs, they're not going to be Patreon exclusive shows. They're going to be shows for this main feed. And as long as we are at that 100 patron tier on our Patreon, we will continue to do the spinoffs, covering the spinoffs in whatever fashion we end up doing it. I don't know if we're just going to, because we're about to like lose the Ninth Doctor, and I think the 6th Doctor and 7th Doctor fall shortly after that. And so we'll have space in our schedules for those
Did
spin-offs.
they ever do a second series of Class?
No,
Okay.
no, thankfully.
Thank
And we
God.
already covered it, so we were not going to cover that.
Woo!
Yeah, we're not going to cover it again.
We're not gonna watch
Once was
Class
enough.
again. Fair
So that's the goal currently. I think currently we have like 75-ish patrons. So go check out our Patreon page, check out what we're doing over there. We do have some Patreon exclusive podcasts that you would get for becoming a Patreon. Things like our monthly movie commentaries and Dueling Genre Versus, which is a rewatch show currently covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1, a discussion show led by Cass over here. And then also Dueling Genre Tonight, which is hosted by me and a revolving panel of Dueling Genre hosts, where we talk about the week's entertainment news, and those come out every week. Those shows. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's like 300 bonus episodes already on our Patreon that you would gain access to instantly for signing up. So
Like us talking about
go check
Class.
it out. Yeah, like us talking about Class. Exactly. So that is duelinggenre.com/support. Go check that out. It's our Patreon page. We appreciate everyone who helps us keep the lights on and keep things moving forward. And the best thing about the Patreon goals now is that they're all for everybody. So when we reach the goal on Patreon, everyone benefits, not just the patrons. And so I think that's really exciting. And, it's kind of, we're all in this together. And, if you guys want more content from us, that's how you're going to get it. So once again, that's duelinggenre.com/support. And we'll be back next time with the Censorites, episodes 4 through 6. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.